Cornelius Fudge, he's the worst, right? Yes, I was inspired to make this video from watching a Super Carlin Brothers video on how Fudge should be classified as a villain, which I will link into the description down below. See, I was rewatching the Super Carlin theories, as you do, and I think I stumbled onto something big. From Nostalgia Studios, the show where we talk about your favorite things from your childhood. Today we're going to talk about how Cornelius Fudge might have been controlled by Voldemort. The premise of this theory is that the reason Voldemort makes things so much easier for the Death Eaters and so much harder for Harry book 4 on is because he is being controlled by the Death Eaters. I know this seems like an unlikely thing to have happened, but don't act like we haven't seen the Death Eaters control another minister to make Harry's life miserable. In the Deathly Hallows, Voldemort controls Minister Pius Thickness to make Harry the most wanted person in the whole world. The first piece of evidence is just how different Fudge's behavior towards Harry is from Book 3 to Book 5. In Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry blows up his Muggle Aunt Marge in front of 3 other Muggles and doesn't even need to attend a trial to prove that he's innocent. In Order of the Phoenix, Harry does the Patronus charm, which, if there were no Dementors around, would just make a pretty light, in the presence of one Muggle who has already witnessed magic and knows that it exists. For this, he gets a trial in front of the entire Wizengamot and is almost expelled from school. I mean, whether you want to admit Voldemort had something to do with this or not, you've got to say that something bigger than just wanting to believe Harry was lying about Voldemort coming back made Fudge change this much. And yeah, Voldemort would want Harry to be expelled from school. As Luna so wisely says in the Order of the Phoenix, Voldemort would want Harry to feel as isolated from all his friends. What a better way to do that than literally separating Harry from all his friends who still have to go to school. Also, the Dementors were sent by Umbridge, who works for Fudge. But we will get back to Umbridge later. Now I want to talk about the Quidditch World Cup. Doesn't it seem a bit odd for Voldemort's followers, who did absolutely nothing for 13 years, to suddenly rally at a high security event where there are authority figures there who could easily arrest them? But they do it anyway because they know they won't get arrested because they just controlled the minister. And it's not just the Death Eaters' new confidence. Afterwards, literally nothing happens. The newspapers say absolutely nothing about trying to catch the Death Eaters, and the Ministry doesn't heighten security at all. Except for the age line in the Triwizard Tournament, which is not even something Fudge's department controlled. Now that's pretty much all we see of Fudge in the Goblet of Fire until he's denying that Voldemort came back. Now if there was one piece of evidence to prove Fudge was being controlled by the Death Eaters, this is it. As the Super Carlin Brothers put it, the absolute worst case for Voldemort is the highest ranking official in government knowing that he came back. But Voldemort planned for this. As a Death Eater controlled Cornelius Fudge would be told to do, he does nothing. No investigation teams, no Daily Prophet article, full out denial. But of course, at the end of Book 4, Voldemort still has a major problem. Harry Potter is still out there and not dead yet. And, as we said before, he has Umbridge, who I also believe Voldemort's controlling, send out Dementors to try to get Harry kicked out of school. But, like all of Voldemort's plans, it completely fails. Never hire Voldemort to plan a wedding. What does Voldemort do from there? He knows at Hogwarts, under Dumbledore, Harry would be untouchable. So, do you ever wonder why Umbridge changes so suddenly from a ministry official to a teacher? Actually, you probably didn't wonder because we get an explanation that the reason that Fudge has Umbridge go to Hogwarts is because he wants to control Hogwarts and have eyes on Dumbledore, but that is wrong. Voldemort wants to control Hogwarts, and with it, Harry Potter. Just look at some of the things Umbridge does while she's at Hogwarts. She controls the Flute Network, she looks through the mail. In a way, she's trapping Harry inside with no contact to the outside world. Another interesting thing she does is to question Harry about where Sirius is. I mean, besides the fact that Sirius is a prisoner that escaped from prison, there's no reason why Fudge would want to know where Sirius is. It makes a lot more sense for it to be Voldemort wanting to know where the known Order of the Phoenix member is, and therefore where the Order's base is. Another thing that Umbridge does is being interested in Dumbledore's weapon. Now, Fudge might think that Dumbledore's after his job, but he also knows that Dumbledore believes that Voldemort, the most powerful dark wizard ever, is back. Fudge has got to assume that if Dumbledore had a weapon, it would be used against Voldemort, not him, right? So the interest would be a lot more sense if it was Voldemort wanting to know what Dumbledore was going to use against him. And last, the big one, she gives Harry scars. She is the only person besides Voldemort to leave lasting scars on Harry's body. I wonder whose order she's following. Now, of course, at the end of the Order of the Phoenix, Fudge and other Ministry officials see Voldemort in the Ministry of Magic. At this point, I think Fudge wakes up. Knowing he subconsciously helped the Dark Lord, Fudge resigns from office. He would fear anyone finding out about what he did. But of course, without office, he'd be useless to Voldemort. And a year later, Voldemort moves on to his next puppet. By now, you could probably see how Fudge was being controlled by Voldemort. I mean, I hope you do. But you're probably still asking, how? I mean, it can't be easy controlling the highest level of authority, especially since it starts before Voldemort even comes back. But remember who's on Voldemort's side when all of this happens. Good old Bartholomew Crouch Jr. That's a fun name to say. Bartholomew. Seriously, but Barty Crouch Jr.'s dad, Barty Crouch Sr., is arguably the second highest official in the Ministry. If I were to guess when it happened, I'd say it's the Quidditch World Cup, considering they're both there and Barty Crouch Jr. was invisible. He was also missing until casting the Dark Mark into the sky. I mean, we've got to assume that he was terrorizing the Muggles, but we know where he really was. So to recap, before coming back to power, Voldemort thinks it would be a great idea to control someone at the Ministry, so his rise to power would be in secrecy. He entrusts his right-hand man Bartholomew to put a spell on Minister Cornelius Chocolate Fudge. What follows is the Death Eaters rallying at the Quidditch World Cup without any consequences. Voldemort regains a body at the end of Goblet of Fire, but Harry Potter escapes. He then gets Fudge and Fudge's assistant, who Voldemort newly controlled, Umbridge, to get Harry expelled from school. That plan also fails, and Voldemort has Umbridge watch over Harry while he's at school. While at Hogwarts, Umbridge cuts off all of Harry's connections to the outside world, puts scars on his hands, questions him about the Order's base, and has an interest in the weapon Dumbledore's going to use against Voldemort. But of course, Fudge wakes up and resigns from office, fearing that other people would find out that he did the bidding of Voldemort. That's all I have for you today, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your family and friends. Also, comment down below who is your favorite Death Eater. Mine's got to be Bellatrix. See you guys next time. Bye!